Welcome to GBDNtv. This is Business Notes. I'm Diane Bojino. It's a pleasure to welcome Laura Biering to the show today. Laura is a certified life and leadership coach and the founder and president of True Voices, a coaching, consulting, and creative agency. Since finding her own true voice, she has made it her mission to help others find theirs. Laura has been coaching individuals and teams to authentic success since 1999. In addition to providing insightful questions and perspectives, Laura provides a safe and courageous space for her clients. In this open, non-judgmental environment, her clients, ranging from executives to entrepreneurs and from ministers to moms, builds the courage to take meaningful, intentional risks, thus more easily and quickly achieving their goals and dreams. Laura is currently excited about offering groups and retreats using the highly experiential methodology of the Daring Way based on the research of Dr. Brené Brown. In her spare time, Laura loves relaxing with her partner and their two adorable four-legged children and retreating to her centuries-old farm in southeast Georgia. Laura, thank you for coming to the show today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You call True Voices a coaching, consulting, and creative agency. Is that a nod to the many ways you work with your clients or something else? Tell our viewers about that.
It is actually. The coaching and consulting are pretty self-explanatory. But the creative agency speaks to my creativity, to the creativity of my clients, and I mean that in the broadest sense. So the way they do what they do, but also because I sometimes use the more traditional creativity in my work. And the agency word I love. It's got many definitions, and some of them don't really apply. But as an agent of change, I hope to help my clients be agents of change in their own lives. And that's the main thing I love about it, the change part. And also, there's something about being an agent suggests taking responsibility for making something happen.
I like that. And what is team coaching, and how is it different from team building, and how is it different from group coaching?
Let me say the difference between a team and a group is that a group is a bunch of individuals, and a team is a bunch of individuals, but with the same goal in mind. They're all working toward the same goal. And so that would be a department or a project group, a project team. And a group would be people who all come to me with a common interest, common goals, but within themselves in their own lives. So, for instance, a Daring Way group could be a bunch of people who come together to be more brave, to show up more, to live more fully in their own lives. A Daring Way team would be people who did that work for the purpose of achieving their common goal. Then team building is the thing that I most get team coaching mixed up with when I'm talking to people. Team building is mostly about bonding. So they do things like ropes courses, or they go to Dave & Buster's and play video games. And it's fun, and it's valuable. I'm certainly not saying those things aren't valuable. But team coaching is about taking them from where they are now to where they want to be, to a higher level of positivity and productivity.
So, and certainly there are tangible outcomes achieved by your clients, those in which they reach goals around their careers, money, leadership abilities, and the like. But what are some of the intangible benefits they receive?
These are my favorites, really. I love it when my clients can say, oh, I tripled my income, and that's very fun too. But when they have increased levels of confidence and clarity about where they're going, it just to name two, it changes, as it does with the team, as I said, it changes the way they live their lives, which then changes everything else. Some other intangibles are higher self-esteem, simply by saying they're going to do something and then either having the accountability or the clarity to actually do it builds self-esteem. And then self-trust, beginning to know that they know what's best for them rather than having to doubt all the time or turn to someone outside themselves.
And now one of the workshops that you offer is on the art of bragging.
Yes.
So please say more about that and then brag for us right now about some of your favorite success stories.
Okay. So the art of bragging is about saying what's true, not in a pompous way and not in a small mouse-ish way. And there's a lot more to it than that, but it allows people to know more about you, and it allows other people to know that you're confident and to know that they can put their confidence in you. One story I tell that is a brag is about when I was in third grade. And so we can, I'm kind of leaning into the workshop a little bit. One of the things we do is look back at our lives and look at interesting or monumental or moments that might mean something in the present. So my story is that when I was in third grade, I was in the talent show. Now, way back when I was in third grade, I went to a 12th grade school. Mm. So there were people from first grade through 12th grade in the talent show. And my talent was was reciting a poem. And it just so happened that my father was a professor of oral interpretation of poetry and prose. So he gave me all the instructions about how to do this. But my teacher was an elocutionist, which for those of you who don't know, it's quite different than oral interpretation. Oral interpretation is vocal inflection and maybe some facial inflection. Elocution is like la 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 la. And so I got instructions from her how to do it. Well then, what was I going to do? So the night before, I went in my room and I listened to what each of them had said to me and thought through it, and then I did it my own way. So one of the things I do now is help my clients hear all the voices from outside themselves, but also the many voices within, and then find the true voice that represents who they are. And so I love being able to say that and by the way, I won the talent show. I won the 12th grade talent show,
Wonderful.
Which is the bragging part.
Right.
But I love it that it applies still today, and we think, oh, what I did in third grade can't possibly apply. And yet it does.
Mm-hmm. And now you discuss your ideal clients not as a demographic, but as a psychographic.
Yes.
Now, what does that mean and why does that matter?
Well, I don't even know if the word psychographic exists.
It does now.
It does now. TM, Laura
Right,
Biering.
right.
So for the longest time, people would say to me, you have to have a niche. You have to have a person that you're talking to. And I do some of that. The majority of my clients are around my age, so middle-aged. The majority of my clients are successful in what they do, but they have some pockets of not lack of success, but lack of fulfillment, really. And most of them are well-educated, but the thing that makes them more right for me is maybe all that, but mostly who they are, not what they do. Mm-hmm. And so it's people who are seeking something more. Either if they have a lot already, that's fine, and if they don't, that's fine too, but seeking more of what they want. It's people who believe in themselves at least enough to ask for help. People who have a sort of spiritual bent. Now, we don't have to talk about spirituality. Mm-hmm. I don't have to talk about spirituality with my clients, but I do work better with people who have a broader view of the world. That's probably a better way of saying it.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, you've written a book called
Yes.
The Risk a Day Journal.
Mm-hmm.
So tell us about that and how its concepts apply to the business world.
Well, think about whether it's your personal goals or your professional goals. If you are willing to take a risk every day toward reaching that goal, you're going to get there faster. You're going to get there more confidently, more what's the word I want? More directly. And what I mean by that is you get to change your trajectory every day because you're taking a new risk and you get to decide, do I still want to go that way or do I want to go this way? Lots of times in business we set a goal and we'll set off to get it, and then we'll realize before we know it we're over here as opposed to being there. So if we're taking an intentional risk every day, we're also saying, okay, what risk will I take today? What risk am I inspired to take today? What risk feels right for me today, rather than taking a bunch of them and finding out you've ended up somewhere you didn't want to go.
Interesting.
Yeah, so the idea is actually an intentional risk a day, and the title is already long enough, so I left the intentional out of the title, but the idea is that we take risks all the time. I mean, I got in my car and I drove here today. That's a risk. I had my hair cut last week. That's a risk. So, and we put money in business. We put money in, we make investments of time and energy and money, and many times those are risks. So the idea is we take risks a lot, but when we take intentional risks, we always, I very seldom use the word always, but we always get a reward. Mm-hmm. Because when we say, I'm going to do this thing, and then we do it, we honor that promise we've made to ourselves, automatically it builds our self-esteem, our courage muscle, builds up for the next time and the next time, and even for the really big risks. How I define a risk is that there has to be a desire. Mm-hmm. If you don't want an outcome, if you don't want something to happen, then how is it a risk? And in fact, the deeper the desire, the bigger the risk. Mm-hmm. You really, really want something and you take a risk toward it, the odds of your disappointment get bigger because of how much you want it.
Yes. Sure.
So there's the desire, there's an unknown outcome. So if you know how it's going to work out, it's not really a risk, is it? And then the third part is fear. There's some level of fear. Mm. So, and again, the greater the fear, the greater the risk also. Mm. So lots of times people won't take risks because they're too great. The fear is too great and it paralyzes them. And so in those situations, what I do is have them back it up. Between right now and some risk, there's always a way to make the risk smaller. Baby steps. And even if you think you're taking the next baby step, there's even a step closer to you than that. Mm-hmm. Because the idea is to take them. If you make them so big that you can't take them, then you're not taking them.
Right.
Yeah, and you're just living in that fear.
Right, exactly. Mm-hmm. You're particularly excited about offering Brene Brown's program,
yes.
The Daring Way.
Yes.
Now, what appeals to you about this work?
It's about empowering people to be who they are. Mm. I have a belief that the world is like a puzzle, and that we all have our space in that puzzle, and that if we don't do what we're called to do, if we don't follow our intuitions and our desires and our values, then the world, then neither will we be happy because we're not being who we're authentically meant to be, but nor will the world function as it could, because there would be empty spaces in that puzzle. And so what the Daring Way is helping me facilitate in my clients is the courage to get in the arena, the courage to be who they are, but even before that, tools to find out who they are, and tools to get over. And I don't mean get over it kind of way, but the things that get in our way, to work around or work through the things that get in our way. Mm-hmm. Most of us know what they are, but don't know how to get around them or through them. Mm-hmm. So that's just one of the way I can come up with right now that I really feel that this work is important.
Right.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We've been speaking with Laura Biering, certified life and leadership coach and the founder and president of True Voices, a coaching, consulting, and creative agency. Thank you for joining us on GBDNtv and Business Notes. I'm Diane Bogino, bringing you business ideas you